The lesson will be on our back today, so settle in on your floor and rest. And begin with little movements. I'll guide you so that you begin to feel that a little movement can travel. You don't have to make big aggressive movements. Reduce the effort. Make it easy. And you just rest. Eyes can be closed. If you have your eyes open, then keep them soft. And when eyes are open, the idea is the eyes are open to see things, so don't fixate on any one thing. And just settle in and begin to discern your contact with the floor. And I often speak of the 3 spheres. So where is the biggest weight? Is it in your pelvis? Is it in your rib basket or shoulder blades, back of your chest? Or is it at the head, the back of your head? And then by all means, feel the length of your legs and your heels. Because when legs are long, somewhere on the back of your heels, maybe it's more to the side of the heel, you feel that's where you make contact. And listen to your breathing, the natural breath that breathes you. The relationship of these 3 spheres, the pelvic bowl, your rib basket, and your head. They're interconnected by your spine. And now very slowly, from this place of resting, begin to think, find your right foot, your right leg, and roll your right leg as a long leg a little in and out. Make it real easy, like no force whatsoever. Just pleasant. And notice, how is your right foot when it's at rest and you rolled it out a little bit? Where is it at ease? It just rests. Maybe you feel you move more towards the outside edge of the right heel. But if I said, could you roll the leg just enough, comfortably, that your knee and your toes were oriented a little bit more towards the ceiling? And you just let the left be, and then you let go of it. So you have to do a little bit of work. How did you breathe when you did that? And then the next time you roll your right leg so that you feel, oh, my right heel really went to the back of the heel. Stay there where it's easy and begin to flex and extend your right ankle. So the flexion means that the front of the ankle bends and your toes will go a little bit more directed forward towards the ceiling and closer to the shin bone, but just make it easy. In this variation, you might say, oh, I feel how my heel slides on the floor. When I flex the ankle, bringing the toes more in the direction of the ceiling, I feel that my entire back of the leg gets longer. And then I reverse it, and it would be like I was opening the front of my ankle. A dancer would point their toes. You don't have to. But when you extend, you'll feel, oh, my Achilles tendon area, my calf muscle, that contracted. It shortened. And you just make it easy with the right heel, flexing the ankle, extending. And you just notice, do you feel that movement travel up through you? And one way of doing it is where you feel the sliding of the heel on the floor, when you flex the ankle, the heel slides away, it gets longer. And then when you extend the front of the ankle, you feel, oh, the heel came closer to my calf, closer up towards me. And you just do the movement that way for a moment. And then you let that all go, you let it rest, you let your right leg return to its normal, its natural, it's there. I'm not working, I'm not holding my right leg. Maybe for you, your right leg rolls out a little bit. And now go ahead and place your hand, your right hand. You can also place your left hand on the top of your hip bones. So we give it a funny name. It's often called the as is because it means it's the interior, the front, the very top superior of your iliac spine. So place your hands palms flat on the front of your pelvis where you feel, oh, there's that bony structure. And then redirect your right leg to roll a little bit inward, just enough so that you feel, I'm really on the back of the right heel. My toes are pointed towards the ceiling. And begin again to make that movement where you flex and extend the right ankle. At this point, we're still allowing the heel to slide on the floor. And notice, do you feel in your hands resting on your pelvis, the front of your pelvis? Do you feel any movement happen there? You don't have to bend the knee at all or lightly. Not a big bend, it's just the ankle flexes and extends. Do you feel something shift, especially in your right hand compared to the left? Now this time, pause and rest, let that go. This time, when you roll your right leg in this alignment, meaning you really resting on the back of your heel, now I want you to think that your heel is really locked into the ground. So your heel is not going to slide down and up, but you're still going to do that little flexion and extension of your ankle. So it might even be the experience that your heel is in like a runner's block if you ever did running and raced. But now you're keeping the heel grounded into the earth as you flex and extend the right ankle. And does the movement travel differently now that you're not allowing the heel to slide? Do you feel it pushes a little bit up into you and then something comes down? What do you notice in your right hand on your front of your right pelvis compared to the left hand? Can you feel a movement happening? Good. So that is two different ways that you can explore. Throughout the lesson, I'm going to ask you to consider a little bit more the grounding of the heel instead of the sliding. But by all means, compare one to the other so you can discern if the movement travels differently. And then slowly rest from that. Now this time, roll your left leg a little in, a little out. It's a long leg, and you roll it where it feels easy, pleasant. You're feeling I'm rolling over my left heel now, and I'm changing how my heel, the back of my heel, is resting on the floor. And when you think you've rolled your left heel to the degree that the heel is more or less on the back of the heel, not a little bit out to the left or the right, but to the back, and your toes are more or less organized towards the ceiling, then begin that first movement where you allow the heel to slide. You flex the ankle, which means that the toes are coming a little bit more towards the shin bone, but do it easy. Don't do it in such a way that you feel a big stretch of the left Achilles tendon or the calf muscle or your hamstrings. Pleasant, light. And then you release and you extend the ankle. You just notice. You can feel the sliding of the heel on the floor as you flex. Notice that the back of your left leg lengthens. And what happens when you extend the front of the left ankle? Do those muscles on the back, the Achilles tendon, the calf muscle, the Achilles tendon is part of the calf muscles. There are two of them. And therefore, for the ankle to extend in the front, it means the back Achilles tendon heel area is shortening, which means it's contracting those muscles. And you just begin to slide your left heel away from you flexing the ankle and toward the calf muscle, which means it's contracting and you're extending the front of the ankle. And if your hands are still resting on your front of your pelvic bone, do you feel the same movement in your left hip as you did in your right? And right now you're playing with sliding the heel. And begin to listen, because it's just the left one, the right is resting right now. If you feel that movement travel further up, does it travel up to your head? Is there a funny movement that starts to respond passively in your head from flexing or extending the left ankle? And if you do, great. And if you don't, it'll happen eventually. Just it's subtle. And then let that all rest. And then this time, roll the left leg again so that you feel you're securely on the back of the heel. The knee, the toes are more or less organized towards the ceiling. And now ground the heel as if it's like, ooh, I'm back into the floor. And keep it there so that the heel doesn't slide. And go back and flex and extend the left ankle. Is the movement traveling a little differently? Is there a little movement up and down, a little push up, a little pull down that's traveling up the left side? Does it speak to your head subtly? Good. And then rest. Now this time, please roll both legs so that you feel there, my legs are aligned in, we would call the sagittal plane, forward and back. You're on the back of each heel. Ground the heels. And now slowly flex both ankles at the same time and then extend them. And every time you flex the ankles, you're grounding the heels into the floor so that they're not sliding. Is there a little push-up you feel through your spine? Does it get to your head? And then every time you extend the ankles, is there a little pull down through your spine? And what happened to your chin? And so you're doing, and you discern, oh, both of my ankles flexing the same time, the same amount, or not. And then you just pause and rest for a moment. Also listen to how you breathe. As long as you're breathing, you're alive. So we know you're breathing. But then you can start to coordinate your breathing for something that feels more effortless. Roll your legs again towards the ceiling so you're on the back of your heels, ground the heels, and now begin to alternate. One ankle flexes as the other one is extending, but both heels are grounded into the floor. And then you reverse it. One is flexing, one is extending. They meet in the middle and then they reverse. And if your hands are still on your front of your pelvis, feel what's happening in your pelvis. And feel what's happening all the way up one side compared to the other. And is there the subtlest little potential that your head is doing something? I don't know, what does it do? Is it moving first? And is there a little bit of a, I don't know, rolling or side bending or translating of your head? Is it moving? And then you pause a moment, rest the legs, and then return the feet to be organized where you're on the back of your heels, the toes are towards the ceiling, kneecaps are towards the ceiling, ground the heels, and now begin to make that movement of flexing and extending your ankles. Start it slow to feel, is there a little push up and a pull down? And then as you start to feel it, just start to increase the flexion and extension, or this little movement that you feel, my heels are grounded, but something is, I like to call it a little wagging of the foot. So when you start to make it a little faster, do you feel movement travel a little faster up and down through you? But do both heels at the same time now. Flex, extend, flex, extend. And then if you're going to do it faster, don't flex as much, don't extend as much. You know, whenever we go faster, we do it smaller. That's it. There you go. And the knees just very gently. And the minute you start to feel, uh-oh, I'm getting a little wobbly, just rest. It means you need to pause. So everybody pause and rest. And any time when it's time to rest, you feel, if you do, I need to move into another position, please honor yourself. Now, rest. If you're more comfortable with your feet standing for a moment, you can do that. In fact, everybody do that. Bring your feet to stand. Because the minute I suggested that, I saw every one of you start to do that. Which meant, why did you wait for me to tell you? Now, very slowly, I'm going to have you initiate from a different place. But I'm still going to have you feel your feet. So now you have your full foot on the floor, hip shoulder width apart. Gently depress into the foot and shift your pelvis the tiniest bit so that, which way would you shift it so that your lower back flattened into the floor? And feel there's a little push up, but very gentle. And then slowly reverse that movement. Maybe think, instead of the little pull of the heels a little closer to the buttocks, you just begin to tilt your pelvis downward. And you feel, oh, if I free my belly, my sitting bones, my tailbone direct a little bit more towards the floor. Did your belly lift a little bit? Did your lower back arch a little bit? Is there a little pull down through your spine? And go back and forth between this movement, but don't do a big 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Do it smaller, so that instead of this big wave of forward and back, it's more an up and down sensation. And listen to how you breathe when you do it. But it's not side to side. I'm not asking side to side. I'm asking up and down. Want both feet are, okay, less. All right, let me pause for a moment because I need to clarify. When the feet are standing and I ask you to push into the feet, they both push equally so that it tilts the pelvis and there's a movement that travels directly up through your spine. What happens to your head? Head is in the middle right now. And when you let go of it, you just come to neutral. So do that a few times. Just a gentle push into your feet It tilts the pelvis just enough that flattens your back, and boop, there's a push-up. And then just let go of it. And when you let go of the push in your feet, your pelvis, everything, you return to your neutral. And you do that again. So I'm still asking you to use your feet, but you feel how your pelvis is rocking a little bit. And if your pelvis is rocking, what's happening in your chest and your head? And then you let go. Now, the next time you let go, sometimes it's not clear what the feet do, but the feet are grounded. All right, so tilt your tailbone down in the direction between your legs, gently, not a big movement, and feel that there's a little bit of a pull down through your spine. What happened to your pelvis, your lower back, your chest, your chin? And go back and forth with these two movements. What is your head doing? What is your chest doing? What is your pelvis doing? But I'm clarifying that the direction is not in the direction of to the ceiling and to the floor, but it's smaller and it's more or less up to your head and down towards your feet. And look for that sensation. It just means that's it. That's it. Now, rest for a moment. So whether you have your feet standing or your legs long, if you did lengthen your legs, ground your heels, roll the legs so the heels are grounded. If you prefer keeping your feet standing, just hear what I'm going to offer. You can have your feet standing. Slowly, gently, easy. Begin to rock your head a little up, chin lifts a little bit more towards the ceiling, maybe eyes, even if eyes are closed, eyes rock up. And then rock your chin down towards your chest. Easy. Do not do the maximum you can do. Just begin to initiate this movement through your head. And make it easy, no more than what you discerned when you were initiating from your feet or your pelvis. But now from your head. When the head rocks up, the eyes go up. When the head rocks down, the eyes come down. And see if you can find through the initiation through your head a similar sensation that travels down through you. Now, as you do this, put your hands on your upper chest. And feel as you are initiating the movement with your head, rocking up with the eyes, rocking down with the chin and the eyes. What do you feel in your chest? Your chest is responding. What do you feel? Is there a moment when your chest seems to want to depress into the floor, or your chest seems to lift a little bit towards the ceiling? Not a lot, a little. So you've got your hands on your upper chest. Begin to encourage through your ribs or your collarbones or your chest, wherever you have purchase, the movement you felt happen, and begin to initiate the movement through your chest. Don't make it big and forceful. Pleasant, small, so that the head now is no longer initiating, it's responding to the chest. And if the head is responding and the chest is being the initiator, what's happening in your belly, your lower back, your pelvis, and your feet, your heels? Now, go ahead and begin to initiate the movement through your pelvis. And do the feet respond? Does your chest, your head? From any of these locations, feet standing or legs long, feel what is happening in these other spheres, in your spine, in your feet, your heels, your head. And in any of these places, you can initiate the movement. Notice any shift of weight on the floor. Ooh, what if you start to initiate the movement from your breathing? Diaphragmatically, you allow the belly to fill, and then you exhale, drawing the belly up into you. What if you start to pay attention to your breathing that is allowing the movement? And now we're initiating from our breath. Each of these is congruent. You just listen for the differences in effort because they're all embodying the same gestalt of the movement. And then let it all rest, let it go. And now roll your legs to ground your heels in that sagittal plane or forward towards the ceiling, the kneecaps, the toes. And now, with the heels grounded, go ahead and do that little, what we called it, deflection extension. I like to call it the wagging of the forefoot up and down. And see if you can find that same oscillation movement. There you go. And if you do it slow, the movement of the ankles is bigger. But if you want to make it faster, reduce it and just feel the grounding of the heels, like it's a little bloop, 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 bloop through the ankles. And then rest. Notice your contact. Now slowly, and you can do this with legs long or feet standing. I'm going to offer these options because I want comfort. So what would you have to do if your legs are long, or what would you do with your feet standing so that you could place the palms of your hands underneath each respective buttocks on the floor, and then you rest on the back of your hands? That's it. So the palm of the hand is on the floor. Palm of the hand is on the floor, not on your buttocks. That's it. There you go. So legs are long, you roll yourself. Feet are standing, you wind up pushing into your feet and lift the pelvis. So now you're resting on your hands, and your hands have elevated your pelvis a little bit, haven't they? So now the movement is up and down, not to the ceiling and to the floor, up and down. You can initiate with a little push into your feet and make the oscillation that way. You don't have to flex and extend the feet then, the ankles. You just do this little push, pull in the feet. And you create the oscillation. Both feet at the same time, up and down. That's it. And can you feel that you are rolling over the back of your hands? And then begin to initiate the movement, not from your feet, but from your pelvis. A little bit of tilting. The feet will come along. And feel you're rolling over your hands with your pelvis, a little up, a little down. Oh, well, if you're doing it that way, let the breath take over. Inhale as the belly fills. Exhale as you draw the belly up into you, and see if you can create that same oscillation with your breath. And then let it be taken over by your head. Chin rocks up, eyes. Chin rocks down, eyes go down. And with the hands underneath the pelvis, the buttocks, does it make the oscillation a little clearer, a little easier? It's an up and down movement, up to the head, down to your feet. Beautiful. Leave that all alone and rest. Notice your contact. You move the hands, you relinquish, and you rest. Now slowly, where it's comfortable for you, a small amount. Please bias your head, rolling your head to the right, where it's really easy for you because it's going to stay there. So whatever it is that you did, that's where you keep it comfortably. Now, begin to ground your heels into the floor and begin to do that gentle little flex extension of your ankles so that you can create the oscillation. But the head is biased to the right. And now we're talking to different vertebra, the same vertebra, but different portions of the vertebra of your neck because it's biased to the right. And is the head still rocking up and down, biased to the right? You do the movement slow, the range of the ankles is bigger. Then you reduce the range of the ankles and you make it faster. And if you're preferring having your feet stand, you just press into the feet. It's a push-pull into the feet a little bit. Now, roll your head as you're doing this oscillation through the middle. And still notice your head is still bobbing up and down. And then roll it back to the right. To the right. I haven't gone to the left yet, to the right. And then just play with rolling your head only from the right to the middle while you keep the oscillation going. And feel if there's any moment that your head doesn't get the message, maybe you roll too far because the oscillation is constant. And you roll your head a little to the right. You bring your head back to the middle. It's still oscillating. You don't give up the oscillation. You give up the oscillation, you take a rest. And then everybody rest. Now, bias your head to the left. And you're going where it's easy. Never trying to force to the greatest range. Just easy because you're going to keep your head there. Like something grabbed your attention. You're having a conversation on the beach with someone or something pleasant that you like. And you're in a conversation, so you're lying there, but you're rolling your head to sort of communicate. And now start the oscillations from your heels again. The head is biased, whatever degree to the left, you keep it there. And then you say, okay, I'm going to roll my head back to the center while I keep oscillating my ankles. Oscillation goes all the way up through you, up and down. And then slowly begin to roll your head from one side through the middle to the other. But you keep the oscillation from your heels, your ankles, or your feet, nonstop. And is your head not only rolling side to side, but bobbing up and down the whole time it's rolling from side to side? Let that all go and rest. Now this time, stand both feet. And you're going to go back to the same thing where you are now going to do a gentle push-pull for your feet. And if you discern, I want to initiate from the pelvis, or I want to initiate from my belly, or my chest, or my head and eyes, okay, but I am going to ask you, while you get the oscillation going, keep it going. And then with the feet standing, gently, softly start rolling your head from side to side while the oscillation is going up and down, up and down, up and down. And notice, there you go. And if you like the soft, gentle, slow, great. Just do it a little faster so that you can, fast is relative, but see if you can change the tempo to see if it changes the oscillation. Dr. Feldenkrais used a term that I don't like, but it works. And he would say, I'm not asking for the forward to the ceiling and the back to the floor. It's as if there's a skewer going up and down your spine. He used some verbiage and some descriptions that were a little bit more aggressive. But when you start to get that feeling, does it make it clearer? And then relative to you, a little faster or a little slower as you keep the head rolling from side to side. And then take a rest. Now, you know that soft towel, just keep resting. You know that soft towel or blanket or whatever you rolled up? So you're going to stand your feet. Now think about it. If you're standing your feet, and I said, how would you organize yourself? What would you do through your feet? How would you breathe so that you could begin to lift your pelvis in the air, only as high as you need, and insert that soft roller underneath the sacral bone. And then you're going to lower your pelvis down on that roller. It will have added more insulation than when you had your hands, and you have to discern where is it for you on the sacral bone. It's comfortable. Keep your feet standing to start. So the first variation, I had you place your hands underneath your buttocks. But now I couldn't have you put your hands under the sacral bone. That would have hurt. So now I'm saying, put that soft roller somewhere on your sacrum. It's one of those big, great divides I speak about. And now with your feet standing, do the oscillation, up and down. Not side to side, up and down. That's it. All right, so if it's difficult to have the feet standing, you can do it with the heels. And feel, because the pelvis has been elevated because of the roller, where do you feel that up and down movement where it's clearer? Something happening in your chest, into your neck, into your shoulders, into your head. That's it. That's it. Now slowly lengthen one leg, maybe the right leg. Keep the left standing. Just keep the left leg standing, but begin to use the right ankle to flex and extend the oscillation. Is there a bias? You feel the grounding of your left foot, but you're initiating with the right foot. That's it. And then slowly return the right foot to stand. Once the right foot is standing, lengthen the left leg and do the oscillation with the left heel grounded. Flex and extend the left ankle. And you have a speed bump, a soft speed bump you're riding over. That's why it's soft, and I didn't ask for a bigger or a firmer roller. But you're using the long leg, that ankle, at grounding the heel into the floor, and flex, extend, flex, extend. The slower the movement, the bigger the flexing and extending of the ankle. And then you speed it up by reducing the range, but that heel still stays grounded. And then bring both feet back to stand. Do a few of the oscillations. And then lift the pelvis and pull out the soft support, lower your pelvis and rest for a moment. And if possible, rest with legs long. But it's got to be comfortable. What did that little speed bump do for you? Is something feeling flatter? Maybe, maybe not. And with legs long, ground your heels and begin that oscillation up and down by flexing and extending your ankles. And then rest. You don't have to do a lot. But for some, this becomes a lot of fun. You know what it makes me think of? Pogo stick. See, I like the pogo stick idea better than the skewer. But maybe Dr. Feldenkrais didn't have pogo sticks when he grew up or where he lived. A lot of these things are cultural. So, stand your feet, insert the roller, soft roller underneath your sacrum, underneath your pelvis, where it feels comfortable. You can keep the feet standing, but this time, bias your head to one side. Which one are you going to go to? Keep your head there, and now with feet standing, create the oscillation. And start to listen to whichever side you biased your head, right or left. Pay attention to the contact of the shoulder blades. Is the shoulder blade that you biased your head to leaning flatter on the floor than the other one? And then roll your head to the middle, oscillate there, over your little soft speed bump. Did the weight of the shoulder blade that was a little bit more depressed into the floor, did it change? And then bias your head to the other side, the one you didn't first go to, and keep the oscillations going and listen to the contact of shoulder blades. Does one shoulder blade take more weight into the floor? And then lengthen your legs. You still have the soft roller there. And begin to use your breath, the inhalation, the exhalation diaphragmatically, that begins to create the oscillation. You still feel your heels. And notice what's different. Now, rest. So if you need to bring your feet back to stand to remove that soft roller, or you just want to roll to one side and pull it out, whatever. Feel how you learn how to organize yourself as you take out the roller and rest. Now, bring your feet to stand. And a very small amount, but you're in control of it. Tilt your knees, and I'm going to say approximately 10 degrees. So that means like 10 minutes, okay, on a clock. But you find, I don't care if it's 10, 15 minutes, don't make it too big, but tilt your knees to the right and keep them there. And now oscillate there. You can use your head, you can use your chest, you can use your belly, but it's still an up and down. That's it. And feel, oh, does one side of my pelvis, one shoulder blade lean more? Did I roll my head? Did you roll your head to the same side? Also try rolling your head to the other side the knees are tilted. So if the knees are tilted to the right, roll your head to the right as you oscillate, through the middle. Roll your head to the left and oscillate. Feel what's different. But the knees are still biased. And you feel where, something balances you a little bit more. And then guess what? Bring your knees back to the middle. Bring your head back through the middle. Do the oscillation. Tilt your knees that small amount equal to the left. Make the oscillations. Does one foot press more than the other? Does the pelvis tilt a little differently? And begin to play rolling your head from side to side. And discern for yourself. Ooh, when do I like my head here or there, and what's different? The head in the opposite direction, it creates a little twist. Does that lean a little bit more on the side that the knees are tilted to compared to when the head is to that side? Do you feel more balanced? And then let it all rest. Okay. Now we're going to place that roller in a little different place. So once again, you'll stand your feet, you'll lift your pelvis, but instead of placing the roller at the sacrum, place it a little higher up at the very top of the bony structure of your pelvic bowl into the lower back, but where it's comfortable. So now you put that soft speed bump. Make sure you can still feel a little bit of the bony structure of your pelvis as you're also a little bit into the lower back. Good. Now begin to make the oscillation. You've got your feet standing, so keep them standing. Notice, is there a greater arch now because you've got a little bit of a speed bump there? And in one of these directions, as you oscillate up and down, when is it that you feel the arch of your back gets greater, your belly gets fuller, and then you're pressing a little bit more into your soft speed bump, and the belly, it doesn't get as full? You're rolling over the soft support. In one direction, you're compressing that soft support into the floor. In the other direction, well, you're not. You're giving it space. And then with the roller in this new place, we didn't do it before, but begin to turn your knees gently a little bit to one side. Keep the oscillation going through the middle, then to the other side. And don't forget your head. Is your head wanting to follow the direction the knees are going? Or is your head wanting to go to the opposite direction? Listen to the curve of your spine and your back. We often call this the small of our back. That's it. And then come back to the neutral and do the oscillations. And then you bring it to a pause. Lift your pelvis in the air. Remove the little soft speed bump roller. It's flatter now. Place your pelvis back down. And whether legs long or feet standing, create the oscillation. Legs long, you ground the heels. You do that bloop, 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 bloop. That's it. And if you want feet standing, you do it that way. And roll your head as you're oscillating, a little this way, a little that way. And feel your head is bobbing as it's rolling. And then let it all go and rest. And feel your contact with the floor. Your breathing. What did that little soft speed bump do for you? And you know something? Those were only 2 places I had you place that speed bump. I like calling it a soft speed bump. You could have put it behind your chest. You could have placed it a little higher up in your lower back. All of those places, if you felt, wow, when I used it, it was very helpful, then explore other places. Oh, maybe you want to have them on your ribs. And you do the oscillations a little bit, gentle and easy, so that you can feel. Often this support takes over the work that we do unconsciously. Then we can give it up. And then when you come back, how did something get flatter, softer, longer? You totally rest. You let it all go. Listen to your breathing, your contact. Remember, we initiated this oscillation from all different directions. The feet, the ankles, the pelvis, the breath, the chest. I had you put your hands underneath your buttocks. Once more, place your hands palm down on the floor, that you really can feel the palms of your hands on the floor. Palms of the hands need to be on the floor. On the floor, not underneath your buttocks, on the floor. That's it. Now, start to use your hands pushing and pulling on the floor to create the oscillation. The palms of the hands have to be on the floor. The palms of the hands on the floor. Yeah. Can you make the oscillation? And then let the heels also help. But you're just initiating from another place that the rest starts to respond. For some, this is harder. That's when I go, okay, lift your pelvis, put the hands underneath your buttocks. You're pushing and pulling with your hands under your buttocks, aren't you? So you can also have the hands spread further away and push and pull that way too. But let it all go. Rest. Notice your contact. Your breathing. Oscillations. What does that do for you? What is the feeling you have now from exploring things that little babies do? Learning how to push, learning how to ground to heel. We also get on all fours. So slowly as you're getting ready to get up, roll to one side and come to all fours. Make sure your hands are underneath the shoulder joints, your knees are underneath your hip joints. Like any cat, dog, horse, make sure the hands are underneath the shoulder joints, not in front. There's a sensation. And now, some of you have grandkids. Could you please rock yourself back and forth in this oscillation pattern? Do it light and easy. That's it. Feel what you do in your hands. Put your toes, if it's comfortable enough, in a runner's stance. And push with your toes now. The heels are still going to be flexing and extending when you use the toes. But find the different ways that here you could oscillate just like a little kid, a little baby. Forward and back, forward and back. That's it. And then let that go, and now figure out from all fours, how would you come up to stand? There are many ways. There you go. And when you come to stand, or whatever you're choosing at this moment to rest, to sleep. Now, if I said, imagine a pogo stick, and all you do is the tiniest amount of lift your heels, so it's the tiniest amount of extending your heels to go bump, 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 bump. Some of you know this movement, which we call the pum-pum-pums. We give homage to Ruth Yalan, but no, it was Moshe she got it from. That's it. Now be the pogo stick. This is exactly what you were doing in different orientations on your back. The oscillation, up, down, up, down. And the amount that you do is just the smallest amount of lifting the heel. It's like, you know when we used to have airplane paper? Not airplane paper, it was when we had thicker stationery, and so if you needed to write somebody overseas, it was like onion skin paper. We don't even have that anymore. Or think of a tissue. Someone says, oh, wait, stop for a moment. I got to get the tissue. You came out of the bathroom with tissue on your heel. And there's your oscillation, up, down, ceiling, down like a pogo stick. Or jumping like a kid. There you go. Good. Leave it alone. Have a little walk. Feel what this did for your walking.